Hey there, mindfulpreneurs. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the constant emotional demands of caring for others? Are you finding it hard to keep your energy up and your compassion flowing? Well, in this video, we are addressing a crucial topic for anyone who find themselves passionate about supporting others while trying to maintain their own well-being. Today's topic is compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue is something many of us face, especially when we're deeply involved in caregiving or emotionally intense roles. I am here to share actionable steps to help you combat it and keep yourself in peak condition. So, what exactly is compassion fatigue? It is the emotional and physical exhaustion that comes from being constantly exposed to others' suffering. It can leave you feeling drained, detached, and even numb. You see, compassion fatigue can lead to a decrease in the ability to empathize or feel compassion for others, sometimes causing loss of feeling or detachment. It can also manifest as anxiety, depression, irritability, difficulty concentrating, and even physical symptoms like headaches or insomnia. The term is sometimes used interchangeably with secondary traumatic stress, but compassion fatigue more specifically refers to the strain of being exposed to others' pain and suffering. It emphasizes the emotional toll that caring for others can take, even when that care is motivated by compassion and the desire to help. Compassion fatigue arises from the cumulative emotional and psychological toll of caring for others, particularly when that care involves exposure to trauma, suffering, or intense emotional distress. Combating compassion fatigue effectively requires strategies tailored to each specific cause. And here are 9 causes of compassion fatigue that I found who are more likely to experience it and ways to combat it. Number 1, chronic exposure to suffering. Regularly witnessing or hearing about others' pain, trauma, or suffering can overwhelm one's emotional reserves. This constant exposure can lead to a deep sense of helplessness, especially when the suffering persists or seems unresolvable. The people who are likely to experience this type of compassion fatigue are healthcare professionals, social workers, emergency responders, humanitarian aid workers. The best ways to combat is by having regular debriefing, engaging in regular debriefing sessions with colleagues or a supervisor to process the emotional impact of what you've witnessed. Sharing experiences can help you offload some of that emotional burden. Scheduled time off. Take regular breaks or schedule time off to step away from the environments where you are exposed to this constant suffering. This helps you to replenish your emotional reserves. Mindfulness practice. Practice mindfulness or meditation to stay present and centered, helping you to manage the stress of chronic exposure. Number 2, empathy overload. Compassionate individuals often have a high capacity for empathy, which means they can deeply feel and relate to others' experiences. However, when this empathy is continually tapped into without adequate emotional recovery time, it can lead to exhaustion and a reduced ability to feel empathy. Who's likely to experience empathy overload? Therapists and counselors, teachers and educators, pastoral counselors, and family caregivers. The best ways to combat are empathy management techniques. Using these techniques can help you learn to moderate your empathy, such as using cognitive empathy, which allows you to understand and support others without becoming too emotionally overwhelmed. Emotional boundaries. Having these boundaries is helping you remind yourself that you can care deeply for others without taking on their emotional burdens as your own. Empathy breaks. Take empathy breaks where you can temporarily step back from the emotionally charged situations to recharge your emotional energy. Number 3, personal connection to trauma. Caregivers who have experienced similar trauma or suffering in their own lives may be more vulnerable to compassion fatigue. Their work may trigger unresolved feelings or memories, intensifying the emotional burden. Who's likely to experience it? Survivors of trauma working in caregiving roles, social workers and therapists, and first responders. The best ways to combat is to use therapeutic support. Seek professional therapy and counseling to work through your own trauma and prevent it from being triggered by your caregiving work. Peer support groups. Join peer support groups where you can share your experiences with others who understand and can offer validation and support at the same time. Trauma-informed care training. Engaging in trauma-informed care training to help you recognize and manage your past trauma. Number 4, high workload stress. In professions where the demand for caregiving is high, such as in healthcare or social work, the combination of long hours, high caseloads, and insufficient support can quickly lead to burnout and compassion fatigue. The pressure to constantly perform can erode one's ability to care effectively. Who's likely to experience it? Healthcare workers in overburdened systems, social workers, teachers in underfunded schools, corporate executives, and managers. The best ways to combat is to workload management. Advocate for a more manageable workload, whether that means adjusting your caseload or seeking additional help or resources. Time management. Improve time management skills to ensure you're not overextending yourself. Prioritize tasks and delegate when possible. Stress reduction techniques. Incorporate stress reduction techniques such as deep breathing exercises, regular physical activity, or even short meditative breaks during your workday. Number 5, lack of professional boundaries. When caregivers struggle to establish and maintain healthy boundaries, they may find themselves over-involved in their patients' or clients' lives. This over-involvement can make it difficult to separate work from personal life, leading to emotional depletion. I, for one, remember me hiring an attorney who actually ended up quitting her practice because of this. This over-involvement can make it difficult to separate work from personal life, leading to emotional depletion. Who's likely to experience it? New or inexperienced caregivers, highly empathetic individuals, entrepreneurs, and small business owners. The best ways to combat it is to establish clear boundaries. Set clear professional boundaries with clients and or patients. For example, limit after-hour contact and avoid becoming overly involved in their personal lives. Boundary training. Attend boundary training workshops to learn how to effectively establish and maintain these boundaries in your professional role. Personal time. Ensure that your personal time is truly yours. Engage in activities that separate your work life from your personal life to prevent burnout. Number 6, limited access to support. Those who do not have a strong support system or who work in environments that do not prioritize mental health and well-being are at greater risk of developing compassion fatigue. Without outlets to process their emotions, caregivers may feel isolated and overwhelmed. Who's likely to experience it? Remote workers, independent practitioners, underfunded nonprofit workers, and family caregivers. The best way to combat is to seek out or build support networks. If your workplace lacks support, seek out or build your own network of supportive colleagues or mentors. Online communities are also excellent resource, or local peer groups can also provide necessary support. Professional supervision. If possible, arrange for regular supervision or check-ins with a manager or mental health professional to discuss challenges and receive guidance. Advocate for change. Advocate within your organization for better mental health resources and support systems to address the needs for caregivers. Number 7, repetitive nature of caregiving. The repetitive nature of caregiving tasks, particularly in long-term care settings, can contribute to a sense of frustration. When the work becomes routine, the emotional engagement needed can feel more draining, leading to a sense of emotional numbness. Who's likely to experience it? Long-term care facility workers, home health aides, and care providers. The best way to combat this is including variety in your task. Introduce variety into your routine wherever possible. This could mean taking on different responsibilities or learning new skills that add variety to your role. Mindful engagement. Practice mindful engagement in your caregiving task to stay mentally and emotionally present, preventing the work from becoming monotonous. Personal development. Pursue personal and professional development opportunities to break the monotony and keep yourself intellectually stimulated. Number 8, witnessing systemic failures. Caregivers who work in systems where they feel powerless to affect change or who see systemic issues like the lack of resources or support exacerbating the suffering for those they care for can experience a deep sense of frustration and despair, contributing to their compassion fatigue. Who's likely to experience it? Public health workers, social workers in government agencies, teachers in failing school systems, and human rights activists. The best ways to combat are advocacy and involvement. Get involved in advocacy efforts to address the systemic issues that you see. Even the small actions that you can think of can actually help reduce feelings of helplessness. Focus on impact. Concentrate on the positive impact that you are making, no matter how small they are. And remind yourself that your efforts do matter, even within the flawed system. Professional counseling. Seek professional counseling to process feelings of frustration and despair when confronted with systemic failures beyond your control. And number 9, personal sacrifice. Many caregivers prioritize the need for others over their own, often neglecting their own physical, emotional, and mental health. This self-neglect can lead to a depletion of their internal resources, making it difficult to sustain the level of compassion and care required in their roles. Who's likely to experience it? Family caregivers, nonprofit workers, entrepreneurs, and service industries, as well as healthcare workers. Now, the best ways to combat would be to apply self-care routines. Develop a strong self-care routine that includes regular physical activity, healthy eating, and sufficient rest. Treat your own needs as the priority because they are. Balance between giving and receiving. Make a conscious effort to balance giving to others with receiving care and support for yourself. Engage in activities that replenish your energy and joy. Self-compassion practices. Practice self-compassion by recognizing the value of your work and the importance of your well-being and being able to continue to care for others. Here's your bonus tip. Implement a compassion recharge ritual. This could be a weekly self-care day, a dedicated time for a favorite activity, or a ritual that helps you to unwind and reconnect with yourself. This regular reset can prevent compassion fatigue before it even starts. Mindset Minute. Remember, focusing on self-care and knowing your limits is essential. It's okay to prioritize your well-being and set boundaries. Here's a quick recap on effective strategies to manage and overcome compassion fatigue. Number 1 is to prioritize self-care by getting enough sleep, eating well, and staying active. Number 2, set and maintain boundaries by learning to balance your emotional involvement and keeping a healthy detachment in perspective. Number 3, seek support by connecting with peers who understand your challenges. Number 4, engage in regular reflection and debriefing. Consider debriefing to colleagues after challenging cases or events. Number 5, cultivate a supportive work environment. Collaborate with your team to share the emotional load. Number 6, develop healthy coping mechanisms. Find hobbies or activities that bring you joy and relaxation outside of work. And number 7, educate yourself about compassion fatigue. Awareness is key, you guys. Recognizing the signs early and educating yourself about compassion fatigue is essential. Number 8, practice self-compassion by treating yourself with kindness. Number 9, reconnect with your purpose by regularly reminding yourself of your why. And number 10, consider adjusting your role or workload. Assess if your current role or workload is sustainable. If necessary, adjust your responsibilities or take time off to recharge. By taking care of yourself, you'll be in a better position to care for others effectively. I hope these strategies help you manage compassion fatigue and keep your compassionate spirit strong. For more on how to self-compassion, check out this earlier video. Do take a look at my Amazon finds for resources on this topic. Links can be found in the description below. Only if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe and to share it with others who might benefit. And there you have it, my beautiful mindfulpreneurs. As always, remember to stay focused, stay connected, and always choose joy. Bye.